Good afternoon, Belize. I'm Isana Cayetano, and it's time for your midday check-in with News 5. Here are the top stories to keep you in the loop. Activist Caleb Orozco slams the People's Constitution Commission's recently released compilation of PCC recommendations. The family of the 3 American visitors who were found dead in San Pedro responds to the findings that they died from carbon monoxide poisoning. And we'll introduce you to Pickleball in this week's episode of Belize Unreal. These stories are coming up in just 1 minute.
For 32 years, I've been delivering impactful news across print, radio, and television. With extensive training both locally and internationally, I bring you the top stories on News 5 every night, covering special assignments including Taiwan's historic swearing-in of President Tsai Ing-wen in 2016 and the ICJ's role in territorial disputes from The Hague in 2018 has broadened my global perspective. I use all these experiences to bring you the very best on News 5 live at 6. I am News 5.
Welcome back. After several months of engaging with stakeholders, the People's Constitution Commission is finally wrapping up its report. The 129-page document titled Compilation of PCC Recommendations includes 167 recommendations. These insights come from 6,690 responses gathered from Belizeans at home and abroad during the PCC's public outreach and education campaign, which ran from June 2023 to May 2024. Representing one of the various stakeholder groups is Caleb Orozco, Executive Director of United Belize Advocacy Movement, UNIBAM. Orozco has been critical of the process and shares his opinion on the recently released document.
The current recommendation threatens women's health and dignity. It threatens to control young people's freedom of expression, dignity. It erases persons with diverse abilities concerns as full citizens of this country, and it centers white supremacy / white Christian nationalist values at the core of change, and that to me should send shockwaves to everybody who know that we do not live in a country led by white people, but that we have mouthpieces in our system that will uphold white supremacy and Christian nationalist values, to continue to subjugate the very people we are governing. This to me is throwing on the sacrifices of those people who have worked hard and who have fought for changes in this country on behalf of our people.
Orozco shared his thoughts on the recommendations, stating that they fall short of bringing peace and security to Belizeans.
I would hope that people understand that they cannot be silenced or ignore our very long history of social progressiveness. We have never been or have a history of ethnic cleansing. We've never had a history of civil war. We've never had a history of dictatorship. We've always been a haven for peace and security. I only need to remind people of the Garifuna people who escaped genocide at the hands of the British colonizers at the turn of the century. I only have to remind people of the tens of thousands of people that we let into this country who were affected by civil war in Central America. I only need to remind people of the North who escaped genocide through the War of the Races, came down to Belize and settled in Belize for peace and security. These recommendations do not bring peace, no security, or welcome all of us as full citizens of this country, and that should terrify them.
The families of 3 young women who tragically passed away in their suite at the Royal Cajal Resort in San Pedro have spoken out following the lab test results. 23-year-old Kautar Nakad, 24-year-old Imain Mala, and 26-year-old Wafi El Arar were found dead on February 22nd in their resort suite. In a statement issued on Wednesday, the families shared that officials from the U.S. Embassy in Belize informed them that their loved ones died from acute carbon monoxide poisoning, likely due to a faulty instant water heater. From the beginning, the families strongly opposed the idea that their loved ones had died from a drug overdose. They are urging Belizean authorities to continue their investigation to ensure that others who may have been affected at the same hotel are informed about what happened.
The family has already received the toxicology results through the embassy, and we have provided a copy of the report to them as well, because the way the sample collection for toxicology works, you really only get one go at collecting samples from the autopsy, and the autopsy was conducted in Belize. So we do have a small amount of samples retained if the family member would want to request those samples for their independent testing, which we have already communicated through the embassy. But because we have used one of the ISO accredited labs in the US that a lot of the medical examiners offices in the US use as well, the toxicology reports that we just shared with them would conceivably be what they would have obtained through their US medical examiner process.
Pickleball is one of the newest sports to make waves in the Belizean racket scene. It's a hit among tourists, blending elements of tennis with paddles like those in ping pong. Played on a smaller court, it's low intensity and perfect for kids and seniors to pick up easily. In tonight's edition of Belize on Reel, we explore the rising popularity of pickleball in Belize. Here's a sneak peek of that story.
I think it's because everybody can play. So we have sometimes we see families with kids here that come play, so we get to meet tourists that way. We also have a lot of retired people here that are older and they can still play. So even if you're maybe not in really good shape, you can still play. You're not going to play at the same level as some of the other people, but everybody can do it. I was terrible at racket sports. So for me, it was sort of an adjustment, but it was the easiest one to learn. And again, it's good exercise as well. So that's really the reason I wanted something besides running, because running is a bit boring.
My main sport was badminton growing up, and I find that in badminton you play a lot of wrist. There's a lot of wrist action, whereas in tennis there's a lot of full arm motion. Pickleball is right in between the two. So when you're playing at the net, you can play with your wrist, and when you're back at the court, you can play with your arm. But the main difference is the court is smaller than a tennis court. And when you play doubles, you're only playing in a small area with a partner. So it's not like you're running all over this big, huge court and you have to have a cardio workout to play. Depending on how you can control your shots, you don't necessarily need to move a whole lot. So that's why I think one of the main attractions between young people and old people is that it's a lot less motion, easier to play from that perspective.
That's a wrap for the news at noon. But don't worry, there's plenty more coming your way at 6 p.m. We'll dive deeper into these stories and more. In the meantime, visit channel5belize.com and follow us on Facebook for real-time updates. And don't miss Open Your Eyes tomorrow morning for fresh takes on today's headlines. Thanks for tuning in, Belize. Stay informed, stay inspired, and have a fantastic afternoon.